全王を倒す者、海洋神を破壊神をぶっ潰す。俺は究極だ。宇宙そのものなのだ。
This is Rob the Weeb. Today we're going to talk about some overpowered anime characters. So let's start. A character who solves every problem with a single punch. Boring, right? Wrong. What if that power isn't actually the story? What if the real drama happens somewhere nobody's even looking? This is why the strongest anime characters often tell the most compelling stories, and it's not what the haters are arguing. By the end of this, there's a completely different way to think about overpowered protagonists and why some of anime's best shows absolutely prove everyone wrong. So what's really happening when the strongest character wins every time? Everyone says the same thing about overpowered characters. They destroy tension, zero stakes, no real danger. But that argument misses something massive, something that explains why the most popular anime use this exact concept. The biggest criticism sounds logical at first. If a character can defeat any enemy instantly, where's the suspense? Where's the fear? How does anyone care about a fight when the outcome is decided before the first punch lands? It feels solid. Combat is the foundation of most anime. Shonen shows, action series, battle narratives, they all rely on protagonists struggling to overcome enemies. The fight itself is the drama. Except here's the trap. That logic assumes tension only exists in combat. That's it. That's where the entire argument falls apart. Real storytelling doesn't work that way. Tension doesn't come only from a character facing physical danger. Tension comes from conflict, any conflict. Internal struggles count, moral dilemmas count, emotional stakes count. Questions like, what does this much power do to someone's mind, matter just as much as can they survive the next battle. When a character becomes so overpowered that physical danger disappears, the story has to shift. It must. And that shift opens doors to completely different kinds of storytelling. Stories about identity, stories about purpose, stories about what it actually means to be incomprehensibly strong in a world that can't keep up. Overpowered characters don't kill tension, they move it somewhere more interesting. But this only works if writers know where to move that tension. Look at a character who completely nailed this. One Punch Man has a main character who literally wins every single fight in one punch. The show should be unwatchable. Instead, it became a phenomenon. Why? Saitama is the ultimate overpowered protagonist. His entire ability is literally in his name. One punch. That's it. Every enemy, every fight, every confrontation, same result. Traditional storytelling says this fails, the formula breaks. Tension becomes impossible. The story should collapse under its own power scaling. But One Punch Man did something revolutionary. It made Saitama's strength the cause of the real story, not the solution to it. The actual drama isn't about winning fights. Saitama always wins. The actual drama is about Saitama's mind. He trained so hard, pushed so far beyond normal limits, that he broke something inside himself. He became so powerful that fighting, the thing he loves most, stopped being enjoyable. No challenge, no thrill. He won the ultimate power fantasy, and it left him empty. That's compelling storytelling. That's a character arc. That's something that makes people care intensely. Every episode explores what it feels like to have everything and feel nothing. Saitama is bored, existentially bored. He's searching for someone, anyone, who can give him the feeling of a real fight. That desperate hunt for meaning, that's the emotional engine driving the entire series. What makes it brilliant, Saitama's overpoweredness isn't a problem to solve. It's the premise. It's the constraint that forces the story into deeper, more interesting territory. The power creates the psychological struggle. The strength creates the emptiness. That's what overpowered done right looks like. The most powerful character in the story is struggling with something no power can fix, purpose. But what about characters whose overpoweredness explores something completely different? Take a different approach. What if an overpowered character doesn't struggle with their strength? What if their strength solves the wrong problems so they can focus on the right ones? Rimuru from That Time, I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, becomes a demon lord almost immediately. The progression is absurd. He gains power at a rate that makes him nearly untouchable within his world. By any standard, Rimuru is broken from episode 1. The story never pretends otherwise. It doesn't hide his power level. It doesn't create fake tension by suggesting he might lose. Instead, it asks something completely different. What does a character do with absolute power? Rimuru's overpoweredness serves a specific narrative function. It removes combat as a bottleneck. He doesn't waste the entire series getting stronger because he starts strong. So the story explores what actually matters to his character, building a nation, creating safety for his people, establishing alliances, engaging in politics. The tension in Rimuru's story isn't will he win the fight? The tension is, will his nation survive? Can he navigate the complex politics of his world? What happens when other factions see him as a threat? These are massive, compelling questions. They only become possible because Rimuru doesn't waste time on personal power scaling. That's genius structural writing. The overpoweredness isn't a flaw, it's a tool. It frees the narrative to explore themes that traditional shonen anime can't touch because those shows are stuck in the protagonist gets stronger loop. Rimuru proves that overpowered protagonists work best when writers use strength strategically, not to shortcut storytelling, but to unlock new kinds of stories entirely. Stories about civilization building, stories about philosophy, stories about what legacy means to someone with centuries ahead of them. The strongest character in the story has the freedom to pursue something much bigger than personal victory. But there's one more example that shows how overpowered characters work when the story is about the search itself. What if a character's overpoweredness isn't about their psychological struggle or their role in society? What if it's about their obsession with finding something stronger? Goku represents a different angle entirely. By Dragon Ball Super, Goku is incomprehensibly powerful. He's literally a god. The power scaling is insane. And yeah, sometimes the writing falters under the weight of it, but the core concept is sound. Goku's character isn't about being strong. Goku's character is about wanting to fight someone stronger. That's his core drive. That's his obsession. When Goku is overpowered, the story becomes a search mission. Who is strong enough to challenge him becomes the central question. Every arc is driven by this hunger. Every saga introduces new enemies, new transformations, new techniques, not because Goku needs them to survive, but because Goku needs a worthy opponent. That reverses the traditional power scaling. Instead of protagonist trains to get stronger to defeat the enemy, it becomes protagonist gets stronger and then hunts for a threat that matches their new strength. The engine is reversed, but it still propels the story forward. Dragon Ball works because it understands Goku's overpoweredness is a feature, not a bug. It's not something to apologize for or hide. It's the entire point. The story exists to satisfy Goku's craving for challenge. So guys, if you like this video, consider subscribing to keep seeing anime analysis that breaks down what actually works in storytelling versus what just seems like it should work.